CODESA must take us forward towards the birth of a new country, an undivided country, a country which is democratic, a country which will enjoy liberty.
Gunned down before he could see the fruits of his lifetime struggle, Chris Thembisile Hani was killed just a year before South Africa's first democratic elections. His assassination aimed at stirring further strife during a time of great political uncertainty and threatening the multi-party negotiations aimed at a peace settlement of deep ideological differences. Ironically, Hani had called for peace.
And I can't accept people's calling for war. I don't accept what the PAC is saying about a year of great storms. Because I feel that we have achieved something in this country where those who have oppressed us in the past are actually talking to us and are showing readiness to negotiate for democratic elections.
His death on the 10th of April in 1993 plunged the country into the political abyss. It took the courage of Nelson Mandela to ensure a national but emotional calmness. 20 years on, his family still yearns for closure. Hani was assassinated by Polish far-right immigrant Janusz Walusz, who shot him in the head and in the back. He was armed by the Conservative Party leader Clive W. Lewis. Both are still languishing in prison. And while they have been denied parole on numerous occasions, Hani's widow Limpho wants them to reveal the whole truth of who else was involved in the plot to kill her husband.
I think forgiveness is about my confessing to you to say, you know, John, this is what I did to you, and I ask for forgiveness. But you can't just wake up and say you ask for forgiveness without telling us what actually happened. At the moment, all I need is the truth. And I think all South Africans, we will just want to know what happened.
Chris Hani was the embodiment of the struggle for South Africa's liberation. Born poor to uneducated parents in Gauteng, in the impoverished Eastern Cape in 1942, he rose like a shooting star to dominate and shape South Africa's political landscape. He was the ANC's military wing, Umkhonto weZizwe's chief of staff, and the General Secretary of the Communist Party, anathema to the apartheid Nationalist Party government. 20 years on, the SACP is keeping his legacy alive. Deputy Secretary General Solima Paila says Hani's campaigns for a liberated South Africa free of hunger and homelessness still strike a chord in post-apartheid South Africa.
For instance, we've built more than 3 million houses as a democratic government, but the majority of our people still do not have houses. We still have hunger in our society, and yet we have the richest economy on the African continent.
Chris Hani also called for political tolerance.
We're serious when we say we want to cultivate a culture of tolerance, a culture of not fighting those you disagree with, because those people are not our enemies. We don't agree with their policies and their methods, but we certainly want to accord them the same space we enjoy so that they can organize as freely as possible.
On the streets of Johanneburg, mixed reactions to his legacy. Some remember vaguely his death, others describe him as selfless.
What do you know about Chris Hani?
That he fought for South Africa. He was a democratic fighter, political fighter. He was brave, but they never really said much about him. So I don't really know much about Chris Hani.
A great freedom fighter, that's all. And I think personally, if he was alive now, he would have been president of this country, and it would have been much better under his presidency.
About Chris Hani, I know as a militant veteran who have been fighting for the struggle. Yeah, I think he was part of the people for ANC.
Of God, yes, Chris Hani. I don't really know about the history.
His wife wishes for a book by local authors to be written about him. She doesn't particularly like to be asked what her husband would think about the current state of affairs in the country.
What we all forget is Chris was an ANC member, Chris was an SACP member, he was part of that collective. So it's unfair for us to say if Chris was alive, a house that takes 10 days to build would take 2 hours to build. It's not correct, it's not factual. So let's not elevate Chris to a messiah. He was never a messiah. He was a dedicated cadre of the ANC. He was part of the collective.
President Jacob Zuma, together with SACP's Blade Nzimande and COSATU's Zolenzima Vavi, will visit his grave to remember his untimely demise and also his profound words, which read, "If you want peace, then you must struggle for social justice." Mahlatsi Gallens, SABC News, Johannesburg.